Andy, a game character, is instructed by his other cartoony character friends to play a set of games with them if he wants his house key back. At first, seemingly a cartoon game for children, the origin of the story takes a more dark and twisted turn, revealing the atrocities committed alongside the horrifying paranormal catalysts leading to them. Hi folks, I'm R. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator. You can follow me on Twitter where you can send me video suggestions and communicate with me. There will be spoilers ahead. With that said, let's begin. Andy's Apple Farm game begins by the developer Thomas Eastwood introducing the game. He explains that the game is in a beta state and the player must test the game and look for any bugs and glitches in order to report them to Thomas. As the introduction is about to skip to the start menu, a cryptic and sinister line is played out in reverse. Reversing the audio, Thomas asks the player to free them all, something out of place in this ordinary-looking computer game.
Law, say you're safe. Please free us all.
The game is seemingly developed in 1983, indicated by a line at the bottom of the start menu. Starting the game by pressing the new file rather than the saved file from before, Andy gives the player a quick instruction and the game starts. Andy the Apple soon meets up with his friends having a picnic, Felix the Fish, Melody the Moon, Margaret the Mole, and Klaus the Clock. The small glitch and bug soon become more noticeable when the group informs Andy that they have a game planned for him. If he wins the mini games with each character, they will each give him one bonus sticker, giving his house key back. Shocked and confused to why they would take his house key, they tell him to relax and just play the game. Talking to Melody first, they play a little mini-song game together. After one successful round, the game starts glitching heavily, teleporting Andy to a different area. Andy finds himself in the middle of woods with snow-covered trees seemingly at nighttime. Taking the north route, Andy comes across a house with the lights on, having Christmas wreath decoration on the door, indicating it's Christmas time. Looking through the windows, inside the nicely Christmas decorated house, a mother talks to her daughter called Isabella, who in an extremely apologetic manner keeps blaming herself for the family not being together this Christmas, with the father and Louis, presumably the brother, not present. Despite the continuous support and reassurances of the mother, Isabella, or simply Bella, can't accept that this isn't her fault. Andy then goes inside the house, which instead of the Christmas decoration has collapsed to the ground with a pile of ashes everywhere, as if the house has been demolished or burnt down. The screen then slowly glitches into eerie images and sound effects of a burning house and female screamings in agony, indicating that indeed the house burnt out under mysterious circumstances, presumably killing both the daughter and the mother. Andy then teleports outside of the house, standing in its original state, when he takes a different route to the east, reaching a car. Inserting a cassette into the player, a recording created on 13th of April 1982 is played, with Thomas Eastwood explaining how he's a game developer with his first projects failing, hoping that this new game will do better. Titled for now Apple Acres, having great cinematic effects and lifelike characters. He urges someone called Cam to come and see what he's doing, seemingly being his wife. He further explains how he cannot afford another failure, hence why he's putting his heart into the game, experimenting with a new technology to make the characters even more lifelike. Andy then goes to play with Klaus, who play I Spy together. Klaus becomes corrupted in a sinister manner, with a reverse audio playing yet again, confusing Andy. Reversing the audio plays out the word deceased, which by clicking on Klaus, it proves to be the right answer, corrupting him further.
Deceased.
Klaus is now a playable character, placed in the burnt down house discovered earlier. The car that seemingly belonged to Thomas is found next to the house, leaving Klaus with no other option than to run towards the east in cold woods with snow-covered trees. Suddenly, Andy, wearing a menacing face, runs after Klaus holding an axe, eventually catching up to him. This transforms the game into a seemingly real scene of Thomas wielding the axe while another man called Arthur is lying on the ground being interrogated by a crazed Thomas to where they are. Thomas shouts to Arthur that he's sick and tired of him lying to him, with a terrified Arthur pleading with Thomas that he doesn't know, with a red tick suddenly appearing that he killed them, when Thomas quickly starts to hack at Arthur, brutally murdering him. After a few hits, Thomas comes to his senses, bursting out into tears and in a remorseful way asking himself to what he has done. A secret cutscene reveals that Arthur and Thomas were friends, whom Thomas becomes paranoid about, feeling he's having a possible affair with his wife, interrogating him if he's getting close to his wife. Playing with Margaret then after, and helping her sort out all the fruits, her character quickly glitches into a melted form, with a date showing up at the bottom of the screen, being the 24th of December 1982. Thomas is seen arguing with his wife Cameron, who asks him to stop blaming her for his disappearance, presumably addressing Bella, their daughter. But Thomas keeps blaming Bella, mentioning she could have saved him, causing Cameron to get fed up and telling him to go and drink how he usually does at the bar. After the cutscene ends, an eerie error text appears mentioning that she could feel her skin peeling off in a time that was supposed to be happy. In the error menu, a mysterious and sinister audio is then played with someone driving and walking in deep snow. The rest of the audio can be played if Andy chooses different characters to play with first in a different order, which clearly indicates that Thomas drove to his wife's house and set the place on fire. After restarting the game and playing a game of fishing with Felix, Andy comes across a body at the bottom of the lake. When pulling the body to the surface, both Felix and Andy's characters become corrupted, with Felix then reporting on an incident. The report entails a 10-year-old boy disappeared in a rowboat accident, sinking under the water on 14th of October. His sister managed to survive and go back home. The report ends with mentioning that the boy's body was never recovered. This displays how Louis Eastwood, Thomas's son, went on a rowboat activity with his sister on 14th of October when they both fell into the water, with Isabella managing to swim to the surface, but Louis sinking and drowning. In fear, Bella rushes back home, telling her parents about the incident. The authorities fail to recover Louis' body, with Thomas becoming infuriated and overwhelmed with the loss, not being able to help himself but blame Bella. Thomas takes on drinking to soothe his pain, deserting his wife and daughter, usually hanging out with his friend Arthur, even not being present at home in Christmas Eve, with Bella feeling extreme guilt, feeling as if she drove his father away. Through a secret passage, going through some of the tree apples, Andy can come across a weeping Isabella next to a rowboat, blaming herself for Louis' death. It seems to be just after their incident, as Isabella questions herself to how she will break the news to her parents. Suddenly, an image of the water surface appears with a corrupted image of a child, which seems to be of Louis. An image of the family on Christmas Eve of 1981 also displays how happy the Eastwood family was, until it morphs into a more sinister one, dated Christmas Eve of 1982, with all of them having their faces hollowed out, indicating they all suffered a tragic fate. After Andy manages to collect all of the stickers, the group instructs Andy to go to the dark barn, as his house key is somewhere there. Being pressured, he goes to the barn, with the group shutting the gate on him, locking him inside. Within the dark barn, a set of eyes chase after Andy, which are soon revealed to belong to Peter the Pumpkin. Confused to whom this character is, Peter dismisses his questions and instructs him to play a game of tag with him. After catching Peter, the game starts bugging, with Peter inevitably catching Andy as well. The area then transforms with Thomas being alone in the barn, encountering a monstrous entity. Thomas's body dissolves suddenly and glitches out, with Andy finally finding his house key. Sinister texts then appear, repeating "Save me" and "Save us," with images of the Eastwood family and Arthur flashing, while images of the game characters correspondingly show up next to them, portraying whom each character was. Felix, appropriately fishing for his own buddy, was no other than the drowned Louis. Melody was Isabella, who was older than her brother, hence why she felt responsible for his death. Margaret was Cameron, whose face melts, and Klaus was Arthur, the friend that got butchered. And finally, Andy was Thomas, who was the main character in causing all of the problems. After Louis drowns in October 1982, the once happy family of Eastwood, with a struggling game developer father, Thomas, breaks apart, with Thomas finding it hard to forgive his daughter for the death of his son. Due to alcohol and sheer mental pressure of losing his loved one, he reminisces on the good memories they would have had in the upcoming Christmas. He seemingly has a mental breakdown and sustains severe paranoia, believing his friend might have an affair with his wife. His severe mental state, alongside the alcohol, in the midst of creating a new game as he claims to contain a technology that is experimental, allowing him to make the characters lifelike, something snaps and bugs out, something extremely sinister. One of the characters obtains self-awareness and becomes Peter the Pumpkin, a demonic interdimensional character able to manipulate aspects of the real world. Peter infects Thomas's mind and easily manipulates him, taking advantage of his current poor state of being mentally weak and drunken, causing him to visit his house, presumably after a drunken night on Christmas Eve, and burning it down with both of his wife and daughter still inside. Arthur somehow manages to get to the house, whether learning about the news or just intending to visit the Eastwood family, noticing that the house is burnt into ashes. That's when he notices Thomas's car parked by the house, when he witnesses a crazed and paranoid axe-wielding Thomas chasing after him with murderous intent. He finally catches up to him, with Arthur pinned to his back, begging for his life. A paranoid Thomas, having his mind polluted, believing Arthur must have had a hand in causing the death of his family, begins to hack at him with the axe. Only after it's too late, Thomas comes to his senses, learning to what he has done. That's when the interdimensional entity takes over his body and transforms him into the cartoon character Andy the Apple. When Thomas developed his new game in 1982, the evil entity possibly had a hand in killing all of the members of the Eastwood family. When Louis dropped into the water and drowned, when he took over Thomas's mind, forcing him into burning his own house and killing his friend Arthur. The entity managed to take their souls and teleport them into the game realm, which was later titled Andy's Apple Farm, where they had to be trapped for eternity, being the subject of the self-aware interdimensional entity, which Thomas accidentally whether created or invited into his world by creating some sort of a portal. As he mentioned, he used a specific type of technology to create the game.
Please free us all.
The game has changed massively since its first release, and it's getting more updates frequently. It's possible the story would even take a slight different direction in the future. Folks, if you enjoyed this video, you can support the channel by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you can also stay tuned for the latest videos and not miss out on them. It's been your host R, and as always, have a fantastic day.